Hello friends, welcome to my channel Keys. In this video, I am creating one brand new invoice application using Reactive Forms Farmery concept, and the API point of view I am using JSON Server REST API, and the designing we can use the Material UI components. Okay, so before going to the implementation, let me provide one demo so that will give some clear idea what we are going to implement in this video. This is my invoice listing screen and I'm creating one new invoice. And in this create screen, we have a three important section. Okay, the first one is header section, and then product section, finally summary. So in this header section, we have a field invoice number. It is disabled one because we are generating this invoice number in the dynamic manner. And then invoice date we can adjust by choosing this calendar. And then customer, we have loaded list of customer in the drop down. The data are coming from API only. Once I choose this customer, the relevant tags and then address loaded automatically. And the next one is product section. Here only we are using this farmery concept because whenever we are adding the products, based on that we have to generate the controls in the dynamic manner. So that's why we are using this reactive forms farmery concept. Okay, so in this product section also same, by clicking this drop down we can choose the products. Okay, once I choose the product, the quantity will automatically included as 1. If required, we can change. And then the default price will be loaded automatically. Based on the quantity and the price, the total is calculated. Similarly, the summary total, tax, net total, everything is calculated. Okay. So in this tax completely calculate based on this tax selection. Okay. So maybe if I'm changing this into inclusive, see. Similarly, zero tax. Okay. And we have a remove option in case if we included any product mistakenly, then we can remove. So once we remove the product also, the tax calculation everything is happened automatically. So you can see the new total tax and the net total. Okay, so now I'm going to have one more product and I'm just saved. Okay, so you can see this new entry, the customer and delivery address and net total, how much they are actually payable. Okay, once I click edit, so the same information will be loaded automatically, and now I am making some changes. Okay, okay, I made some changes. So in this bad section I'm just changed into one. Okay, so now if I'm saved once again, see it's saying updated successfully and the values are reflected in our UI. For the cross-checking purpose, see the data are available clearly. Okay, and finally our delete function removed successfully, and also it will be reflected in our UI. Okay, okay, now we have finished our demo, so next we can start the implementation. Okay, so this implementation I'm going to start from the scratch and make sure you should have the proper environmental setup. Okay, so like you should have the Node.js and also Angular CLE is installed. So in my machine already I have done the step. So in case if you are a beginner, if you want to know more about like an environmental setup and how our Angular application is working, I just added my Angular 18 course link in this video description. You can just refer there. Okay. Okay, now I am creating the application from the command prompt itself. So the command is ng-new and then our application name. I just provided the name is Invoice app. Okay, and style sheet we can use the CSS, and server side rendering it's not needed now. Okay, the application is created. We can open in the VS Code. Invoice app. Okay, our application is opened, and the next thing is we can install the required packages. So we can use this new terminal option. So the first package I am going to use the Material UI for the designing purpose. You can go to the Material UI site. Okay, so here you will get the command ng-add at angular material. Okay, so the version 18.2 is available. We can give yes, and the theme we can choose the default one, and typography we can give yes, and include and enable animation we can give. Okay, the installation gets completed. The next thing is we can create the required components. So the first one is listing, so we can provide the name is list. Okay, the component is created. Similarly, we can create one more component. It's for creating and editing the invoice. Okay, okay, so both the components are created. We can check in this app folder. Okay, two components are there. Next, we can create the services. We can provide the name is invoice. Okay, okay, the service also ready. So the next thing is we can work for the API. So as I mentioned, we are going to use the JSON server REST API. So the first step is make sure we have to install this JSON server. If you execute this command, it will install globally. Okay, so that already I have done in my machine. So next I have to create the JSON file. So inside the source folder, I am going to create one new folder. Okay, I am providing the name data. So you can provide your own name. That is not the problem. Similarly for the JSON file name also, I am providing db.json. If required, you can provide some different name also. That's fine. Okay. So here we can set our endpoints. So in this invoice application, first we need a customer. Okay. Because we are going to create the invoice for the customer. So I'm just creating one endpoint for customer. Okay. And the next one is product. Okay. And the third one is tags. So in these endpoints, we can have some static values. And then our main endpoint invoice. Okay. So now the endpoints are fine. Let me run this API. So we can open one more terminal. For running this JSON server API, we have a command is JSON server watch, and we have to specify the folder source / data, and then our file name db.json. Then we execute this one. Okay. So this is our host 3000, and we have a 4 endpoints. So currently it don't have any value, so that's why we are not seeing any data. Maybe if I opened this endpoint, it will work, but it will return the empty value. Okay. Next we can create the models. So in this app folder, we can create one more new folder for managing our models. Okay. So here we can create the model files. So first I'm creating for this customer. Okay. We can go one by one. And here we can provide some default properties. So the default value, first we can keep this ID, then name. So these are the master records. The master records always have the ID and the name. And then some additional fields. In this customer, we can have the address. And since we handled the tax in the customer level, so we can have the tax code also. Okay. Okay, this is fine. So next we can create for the product. Maybe we can completely copy and then we can alter accordingly. So product. So here we can keep this ID and the name. Additionally, we can include the price. Okay. And we can remove the other fields. So price is the decimal. So here the data type is number. That's it. Okay. And then tax. Here also same, like we can have this ID and instead of the name we can have the type and then percentage, the tax percentage. Okay. Changing this name into tax. Okay. So next we can create for the invoice. This is actually very important one. Okay. For this invoice, the first one is invoice number, that we can consider as this ID, and data type I'm changing this into number. Okay. And data type I'm changing this into number. And then customer, so we can mark as customer ID. And then customer name, and then customer delivery address. These are the header information. Okay. And invoice date, the data type is date. And then tax code, tax type, and tax percentage. Tax percentage is number. Okay. And then total, tax. This is our summary information, the summary total and the summary tax. Similarly, summary net total. Okay. And finally, we have to maintain the product information. So I'm just providing one array products. Okay. And here we cannot directly use this product class. So first let me provide this product, then I will change. Okay. Because in this product detail section, we have to maintain more information. So I'm just creating one more new class, like a new model. I'm just providing the name is Invoice Products. Okay. I just copied everything from here and then just add it. You can change this name also, Invoice Products. Okay. So since we have this new model, we can map this into our invoice side. Okay. If this import is not needed. So next we can change the properties in our invoice product section. Here the first one is product ID. Okay. and then product name, and then price, quantity, and total. Okay, this much information is fine. So now our model is ready, and also we have created the required files. So since our component is available, we can map into the routing side. This is our route file. I'm just providing invoice. Okay. And the component is our list component. Okay. And similarly for the create time, okay. And similarly we can include for the edit invoice also. Like edit. So in this scenario, we have to pass one parameter, that is our invoice number. But the component is same only. Okay. So now we can run and verify. ng-serve. So our application running in this localhost 4200 and default home page, and so you can see the text is coming in the bottom. So what we can do in our app component, we have everything. So I'm just removing all the existing design and including this route outlet. Okay, now it looks fine. So similarly in this create scenario, it works. So our routing is working fine. So next we can work with our component side. I'm taking this create component. Okay. So here first we can define our forms. So then make sure we have to import this reactive form model. Okay, if it is not coming, then we have to import it manually. Reactive form model. Okay, and then adding one constructor and implementing on it hook and on destroy hook. Okay, we can implement both. Okay, so next in this constructor I am injecting the form builder. This is the interface for creating our reactive forms. And then our form, I am just providing the name is invoice form. Okay, we can include the controls one by one. Here the first control is invoice number. And we can provide the default values. Also I want disable this field. Okay, and the second one is invoice date. This is the date field, so we can provide the default value as our current date. Also I'm marking this field as required. By using this validators class, we can define that. Okay. And then customer ID, providing the default value as empty and adding this validators required. Okay. And then customer name, just providing the default value only. Okay. The validators is not included. And then tax code, delivery address, so we can provide the name as address. And then summary fields, so the first one is total. These are the numeric field, so we can provide the default value 0. And tax, net total. Okay. And finally our form array, I'm just providing the name is products, so the default value is empty array. So we just defined our form. Next we can work for the design. So in this HTML side, we have one text. I am just removing this one. For the designing purpose, I am using this material way components. Okay, I am using this mat card. So if I am using this mat card, make sure I should import. Otherwise, I will get this error. So let me include it. Mat card model. Okay. Now see the exception got resolved. And in this card, we can include the mat card header. Okay. And here we can have one title. We can use the interpolation. Okay. And providing one variable title. We can declare this one. I'm just providing create invoice. Okay. So if you look at the screen, if you are seeing one error, method not implemented. Okay, it's actually coming from our TS file. Oh, okay, we can remove both. Okay, the text is coming. And mat card content. Okay. And finally, mat card actions. Okay. So in this action side, I'm including the buttons. Type submit. And we can provide the name is save. And this button also we can use the material UI component. So the first thing is like we need to import this mat button model. Okay. And then we have to include the required directive. I am using this mat raised button. For the color, I am providing primary. So next we can include our form control in this mat card content. So before that, let me map our form here. Okay. So already we have declared here it's invoice form. I'm just mapping this form into our HTML side. So I'm including one form tag. Okay. By using this form group option, we can map our form. Okay. And also I am including this submit event ng-submit. I am including one function save invoice. Okay, so we can give one empty declaration. Maybe later we can implement this one. Okay, so now the error got resolved. After that, whatever mat card content we have, I am just moving everything inside the form. Okay, this is fine. And our first control is invoice number. I am going to include one input field. So the first thing is make sure we need to import the model. Okay, mat input model, and similarly mat form field model. Okay, and this mat input model is nothing but normal text box control only. Okay, so the same way we can include some additional form controls. So next time including this select. Okay, mat select model, and for the date field we can use mat date picker model. So let me save this. So next in this HTML side we can include this mat form field. Okay, and our label, and this is for invoice number, and adding the input control. It's our normal HTML control only, and additionally I'm including one directive. Okay, and then mapping this control with our form, we can use form control name. Okay, and this name we can get it from our form. It's for invoice number. Okay, so the same way we can include the next control. It's for the invoice date. Invoice date, and we changed this form control name also. Okay, so since we added two controls, we can see the design. If required, we can make some alignment. Okay, see this, it's coming like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let me include some custom CSS. So the first one is mat MDC card. We are just overriding our material UI components existing class. Okay, and defining one new class. Similarly, adding one more class. So in this case, width I'm just providing 99%. Okay. So next, let me copy this class, and I'm including here. I'm adding the class here. Okay. So the alignment looks good, and this date value is not good. So I'm going to use the exact date picker from our material UI component. Okay, we can take this example. Here I'm just copying all these items, and we can replace it here. Okay, and in this input control we can move this form control name, and the first control we can remove. Okay, and since we used this mat icon, so we have to include mat icon model also. Okay, and from this example also we can check. If you check in this TS side, in this import, we can see this input model and a date pickup model. So the icon is not there. At the same time, we have to include this provider. Okay, it's mandatory. So in our component, the provider section is not there. Then we have to create it. So we can see the design. So now looks fine. Actually, this hint is not needed. Okay, just a command. So our date picker also working fine. Okay, and our next control is customer. Okay, for this customer, I'm going to have the select control. So anyway, we can just follow this same procedure. So it's customer, and in this control section, we can have the match select. So the options we can load from the API. Okay. So currently we can just initiate all the controls. Customer ID. And I'm just duplicating this one. Next, this customer name is not needed, and we can use this tags. Okay. And then this address. So since it is the delivery address, we can use the text area control. Okay. So the class is filled with, and instead of the input control, I am using this text area. And our form control name is address. And we have to include this mat input directory also. Okay. You can see the design of. Okay. Now it looks good. In the header section is fine. So this one is customer, and the second one is actually tags. The label change is needed. Okay. Now it's fine. So the next thing is we need to load the data for this customer and the tags code. Okay. So now our header section is fine. So next we can work for the product section. Okay. So inside the same mat content, I'm going to include one additional mat card. Okay. And here we can have the mat card content. Maybe if required, we can have the mat card header also. Here I'm just having one normal table. It's a HTML table only. And in this T head, we can include all the columns one by one. Okay. So the first one is serial number. It's needed. And then product. Next quantity. and then tries, then total, and finally action. Okay, and in this T body we can generate the controls in the dynamic manner. Okay, so first we can see whether our style looks good. Okay, it's just coming like this, it is not aligned. Okay, again I'm including one custom CSS here. So here I'm just adding, okay, and then for the TD you can check now. It's coming, still we have some design issue, so I'm just adjusting manually. Okay, so anyway I will generate the control. So before that I'm just including summary section. Okay, for the summary also I'm going to have one more new mat card, and adding some custom style like with 99% and margin on bits. Okay, mat card content I'm including mat list. Okay, so we are getting the error. The reason is we are not imported the model. So then let me do that. Mat list model. Okay, and here I'm including this mat list item just for showing the summary information. That's it. Okay, first I'm providing summary total, and the values we can give in the bold tag. Okay, so currently I'm just providing 0.00. After that we can align in the better way. The same way I'm just providing the tags and the net total. So now it is somewhat fine. Maybe I can include some divider in between. Okay, so now we are somewhat fine. And to see this button, actually I have given the class is primary. The color is primary, but it is not reflected. Okay, so the reason is while installing the material UI, we have just to choose the default template, like a default theme, but actually I need to change that. See, Azure Blue only, it's defaultly selected. So instead of the Azure Blue, we can use the Indigo Pink. Okay, so see the theme is Azure Blue. Okay, so if required, we can see the files also in the relevant path. So inside the node models, pre-built themes. So now we are using this Azure Blue. Now I am changing this into Indigo Pink. Okay, so nothing reflected. The reason is it's a kind of configuration file. If you are making any changes in this configuration level, make sure we need to stop and rerun the application. Okay. Okay. See the difference? And our button also changed into save. Okay. So in this area, back to our listing screen, I have to include one more button. Okay. So in this case, maybe I can use one anchor tag just for the redirection only. Okay. And the directives we can use the same. And this color, I'm providing accent. Okay, there is no space between these buttons. So then we can implement one more class. Okay, now it's somewhat fine. And in this button, I'm having one function. So let me define that. And in our constructor side, I am injected this router. Okay. Once I click the button, it's simply redirected into our listing screen. Okay. And we not did any changes in this listing screen. So anyway, that we can do little later. Okay. First we can complete this create screen because that's our core concept here. The changes we can start from the header section itself. So the first thing is we have to load the data for this customer and tags. Okay. So we need an API. So already we just defined one endpoint, customer and tags. Next, we have to provide some default values. I mean some hardcode values. Okay. I added 3 entries for this customer. So the same way we can include for the tags. So in this tags, we can include one additional property type. And finally for these products. Okay. So now our AP endpoint looks good. Okay. Now the endpoints are looks good. So this is for customer. Let me verify here. So it's returning list of data. Okay. So the next thing is in our service side, I am using HTTP client. Okay. If I am using this HTTP client, I have to include one provider in our app config section. And default we can see this provide zone change detection and router provide animation. And additionally I am adding provide HTTP client. Okay. So now this is fine. Next here I am just writing one function get all customer. Okay. This is actually a get method. and we can directly provide the API URL. Okay, and also we know the data type, so we can provide that also. Customer. Okay. ID, name, address, and the tax code. Let me verify here the values. Okay, the same only. Then there is no issue. Okay, and then we have to get the individual customer information. So I'm writing another function, get customer. Here the customer ID is the input and the data type is ID string only. Okay, string. And in this API URL we have to pass this customer ID. Okay, so if you want to verify, if I'm taking this ID, see, it will return the individual object for the individual customer information. That's it. Okay, and return type also I just modified. So the same way we can write for the tags. Get all tags. Okay, and then get tags. This is our API endpoint. Here it is tags code. Okay, and the another master screen is product. Again the story is same. Get all products. Get product. Here it is product code, and API URL should be like this. There is one more change I missed, I tell you. Okay, and this data type. We all know tags, and then products. Okay, so now our APIs looks good. I'm just formatting this. So next in our component side, I am injecting these services. Okay, this is fine. And then declaring 3 variables. Okay, so the first one is customer list, and the data type is customer array. Default value is empty array. Okay, so the same way we can declare these tags and product. Okay, and then writing some functions. So first one is load customer. Okay, this dot service and get all customers. I'm just subscribing this one. So whatever value is coming from our services, that we can assign to our customer list. Okay, and make sure we have to unsubscribe this when our component is destroyed. For implementing that, I am declaring one more variable. So the name is subscription, and in our function side, at the end, okay, and finally, ng on destroy hook side, unsubscribe everything. Okay, at the same time, we can call this load customer this ng on in hook. Okay, once we have a data that we can bind in our HTML side. Okay, this is our control. I'm using this at far customer list. Okay, and here I am using this mat option. Okay, why I am getting this error? There is a spelling mistake. That's fine. And in this mat option, we have to include this value ID. Okay. Similarly, in this text side, item.name. So now the error got resolved. And if you check here, see, the details are loaded fine in this drop down. Okay. So the same way we can load for this tags also. I can just copy this one and included it here. And instead of the customer list, I'm using this tags list. Okay. And here we can bind ID in both places. Okay. This TS side, we can have one more function, load tags. Okay. Get all tags, the value we are binding to these tags and the subscription, that is fine. And similarly, we have to call this function in our ng onload. Okay. So now the tags also loaded fine. Okay. Okay. And the next thing is when I choose the customer, I have to get the individual customer information and then populating these tags and address field. Okay, this name also need to be changed. It should be delivery address. Okay, so I'm writing one on change event in our customer side. So the event name is selection change. Okay, and the function customer change, and in this change we can pass the respective value information. So we not registered or initiated this function, that's why we are getting this error. Then let me do that. And we will get the customer ID here, and the data type is string, Okay, and here we can call our services. So the function name is get customer. Okay, here I'm just passing this customer ID and then subscribing this one. Okay, okay. So once I get the value, I'm just assigning to one of the variable. Okay, and then I'm just checking whether this object have the value. If it is not equal to null, then we can assign the values. Okay, for our individual fields that we can set it from our form itself. Invoice form controls dot address dot set value. Okay, address, that's it. Okay, let me show you. Once I selected this one, see the address is populated. Okay, so the same way we have to populate for these tags and also the customer name. The customer name we are not directly displaying anywhere, but in the backend process it's needed for us. Okay, customer name, there we can just save this name, and then tax code. Here also we have a tax code. That's it. So we can verify once again. See, the tax also selected here. Okay. Okay, this is fine. And the next thing is we can work for adding the products. So first what I'm going to do, writing one function. Okay, this is fine. Next we can work for these products. Okay. So currently in this tree body, we not did anything. It's directly empty. Okay. And so in this bottom I can include one more section. Table footer. Okay. And here I'm including one tr and td. Okay. And totally we have 6 columns, so I'm just including the call span is 6 and adding one button. It's for creating the new row and adding mat traced button direct also. Okay, see the design now. Okay, there is the plus symbol, right? And adding one function like in this click event side, add a new product. Okay, let me define here. This is actually very important area. Okay, so the concept is very simple. When I am defining this form, it's a form group. So we have a multiple controls. Okay, so whatever controls we want to display, or else we need to get the values from user. We already completed in this header section. In this product section, we just provided one empty array. The idea is we have a set of controls that we are going to generate in the dynamic manner. Okay, so that's why we just added one function, add a new product. So whenever a user click the button, or else once we are calling this function, it will add one set of controls in this array. That is our plan here. Okay, then programmatically we can implement the step-by-step manner. From this function only, we are going to include the new rows. So for the optimization purpose, I am creating one more new function, generate row. Okay, and here I'm just returning one form group. In simple words, actually we are just defining and returning it here. Okay. So in this product detail section, the first thing is we need a product ID. Okay. The default value we can provide empty, and also it's a mandatory field. So we can provide this required validation. Okay. And the next one is name, like in the product name. The default value I just provided empty. And then quantity, it is the integer field. The default value we can provide 1. Okay. And then price, the default value I just provided 0. And finally total. So this field is disabled field. Okay, so value we can provide 0 and disabled true. Okay. So next in this add new product side, we need to access our form array. So I'm just declaring one more variable. I can provide the name is invoice products. And the data type is form array. And we can provide any. Okay. Next in this add new product function, this invoice products equal to, here we can assign the value. Okay. We can format this one. And then we can directly push the values this dot generate row. So actually we have to provide some validations that I will do little later. First, directly we can include it. Okay. And also whenever we choose the product, not a product, whenever we choose to the customer, we can call this function add a new product. Okay. So the next thing is whatever controls we are generating, that need to be binded in our HTML side, right? So in this tbody section, we can generate all those controls here. We can provide one default tr, and I'm going to use the ng for. So if I'm using this ng for, make sure I have to import the common model. Okay. Here we need to use our form array. Actually we cannot directly use that. So we have one option. Let me show you. So in this TS side, I'm just writing one getter function. Maybe I can provide the name is inv products. Okay. So here also the thing is same. We are just returning our form array. So next I'm coming back to our HTML side. So first in this table, I am including form array name. Okay. And our form array name is products. Maybe we can confirm. This is the one. Okay. And then In this loop section, we can use that getter function inv products. So here we can get all the controls. Okay, and we need an index because each row we won't access. For each row we are going to have one form group, right? So I'm just including form group name. The value we can provide the index, that's it. Okay, so let me save this one, and next we have to provide the TD. The first one is for just a serial number, so I'm just providing index +1. See, when I clicked this one, see the new row is created, 2 3. Similarly, if I'm choosing this customer, see the row is created. Okay, so the same way for the product, quantity, price, total, we need to generate the controls. So let me do one by one. So it's for product, it's a kind of drop down only. We can just reuse these things. Let's select. Okay. So in this form control name, we can provide this product ID. Okay. And we need mat form field also. And instead of the tags list, we can use the product list. The display, we can use name. And the next column is for the quantity. It's a kind of input control. So I can take from here. Here this label is not needed, and this width is full. And finally our form control name is quantity. Okay. So the same way I can include for the prices and total. Price and total. Okay, and the final one is action. Okay, that means we can provide one delete button. So these controls are not needed. I'm just providing one anchor tag. And adding this mat raised button, color accent. Okay. So now once I selected the customer, see the row is created. See, it's creating multiple rows in the dynamic manner. So next, so in this product drop down, we need to load the product information. So the step is very simple. We have did for this customer and tags. I'm just creating one more new function. The name is load product. Okay. And the method is get all products. And we are just assigning it here. That's it. And finally, we need to call this function in this ngx hook. Okay. Now see. So next in this product change, we can populate the price information here, and also we can do the calculation. Okay. So in our HTML side, already we have this match select control. I'm just binding on event. Okay, selection change event, and here we can bind our function is product change. Okay, so in this parameter we can pass this index. Okay, and then I am just defining this function in our TS side. So already we have this customer change, and the parameter is index. Okay, so here in this form array we have to access the specific form group. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to have the same declaration here also. Okay, I'm just assigning the value, and then in this top of that I'm having one declaration. So maybe I can provide the name is invoice product. So it is actually form group. Next, assigning value to this variable invoice product. Just dot invoice products, it's our array, and based on the index I'm just accessing this form group. Okay, now we are good to go, and then I'm getting the product code from this form group. Invoice product, actually this is our group. Here our control name is product ID. Okay, so once we have this value we can call our services get product. We can pass this product code as parameter. Okay, so now we have the individual product information. Okay, once we have this value I'm just checking one condition, just a null check. Okay, and then assigning values into our current form group. Okay, invoice product, so the value is name. We are not having a separate control for this name, but in this backend purpose I am adding this value. Okay, similarly for the price. Okay, finally we can add this subscription into our. So let me share this one and we can verify. I'm just choosing this customer, this new row is generated. Once I choose the product, see the amount is coming. Similarly, maybe if I'm having a separate row, see, it is only reflected in the particular row only. Okay, so the next thing is we have to work for the calculation. Since we have this quantity price, the total is quantity into price. Okay, so that calculation first we can include. For doing this calculation I am going to have one separate function. Okay, product calculate. Okay, and here also the parameter is index. So the first thing is obviously we have to access our form group, so then we can use the same steps. First we are accessing this form array. Using this index we are accessing the specific form group. Okay, and the next thing is we need to get the quantity and the price. So the same way we can get the price also. Okay, and then we can calculate the total. And finally, we can assign values into our total. Okay, let me format this one. And this product calculate function, I can just include it here. Okay, so the same way in our HTML side, so in this quantity change also we can include quantity change, and also in this price change we can have the same function. So now we can try once again. I'm choose the customer and selecting this product. Okay, so defaultly it's 25. Maybe if I'm choosing one more product, see the calculation is happened. So now if I'm changing this into 2000, see it's reflected. And if I'm changing this quantity, okay, similarly here also it will reflect automatically. Okay, so the individual row calculation we have done. The next thing is we have to complete the summary calculation. Okay, for the summary calculation, let me have one more new function. Okay, for the summary calculation, we need to access the complete value from this array. So I'm just declaring one variable array, this dot invoice form. Okay, get raw value. So previously I just used this value only. Now I am trying to use this get raw value. The reason is I have to access all the values. Like you can see this total is disabled, right? So if I'm directly giving a value, this value we are unable to access. So if I'm providing raw value, it will get all the values. Okay, so in this raw values, we can just use these products. That's it. And then declaring three variables. One is summary total. So the default value is 0. The same way summary tags, the default value is 0. And then summary net total. Net total also 0. And first we can assign the values to our summary total. Okay, so we can access this array by using this for each function. So here subtotal equal to subtotal plus total, and we can assign these values into our form. From the form itself we have one total. Okay, sum total. So in this display purpose, I have to declare one more variable. Summary total 0. Summary tags 0. Summary net total, again this one also 0. And in the summary calculation side, we can just assign those values. Summary total equal to this sum total. So the same way we can assign the values for other fields. The calculation we can do parallelly. Tax. Okay. In the same way, I am just assigning into our form also. So now I am trying once again. So the next thing is from our HTML side. So I believe we have provided some hardcode value. Yes, obviously. Okay. So instead of this one, we can directly bind this value. So the same way we can replace for other two fields. Okay. So now we are good to go. So now let me try once again. See. Okay. We are good to go. And in our HTML side, okay, we are good to go. So next in our TS side, I just created this function, right? The same function we can call in this product calculate function. In the bottom we can use. Okay. So now let me try once again. I selected the customer, and once I choose to the product, see, I'm choosing one more product. By name changing this quantity, the amount is reflected, right? Maybe here I can use the currency pipe. Okay. So next we can do the calculation for this tax and net total. So the same function itself, I have to do the tax calculation. For doing this one, let me declare two more variables. Customer tax type. So defaultly I am providing is set, and then customer tax percentage. So defaultly I just provided 0. Okay. Next in our customer change time, not a customer change. So I have to write one more function. Okay. We have this customer change and then this product change. So the same way I have to write one function for this tax change, because based on the tax selection only we will get the tax type and also the tax percentage. So using that only we are going to do the tax calculation. So again in this UI side, okay, so the same way we have did for this customer. So the function is tax change. I'm defining this function. And here first we can call the services. Their function name is get tax. Okay. And the parameter is tax code. We just passed. Then subscribing this one. Okay, and once we have this value, assigning here. Okay, so as usual, we can do this null check. So this value type. Okay, so similarly, this percentage. Next, in our customer selection time, it's our customer selection. Okay, so here I'm just calling this function. Also, whenever I am changing this tags, I need to execute this summary calculation. So now again I am coming back to our summary calculation. Here I am first checking the tags type. If the tags type is exclusive, just checking this. If it is greater than 0, the summary tags is, this is actually formula. Okay, also we can assign the value for this net total. So in this scenario, the net total is summary total plus summary tags. That's it. So the same way, the tags type is exclusive. I mean inclusive. Okay, it's actually else if. So here the formula is summary total and the net total is our sum total only. Okay, because the tax is inclusive. That's it. And finally, the type is ESET. So in this scenario, the tax is 0. Again, the net total is same as our total. That's it. So let me format it. See this calculation once again. Okay, it is exclusive. Maybe if I provide a 4, tax percent is 7. So that's why the tax value is 7. So if I'm including one more product, okay, maybe if I'm changing this tax type, tax is changed. See, it is 660. So in case if it is exclusive, it is 707. Okay, and this value also changed, 10807. But if I'm changed this into inclusive, so this is the tax and net total. Finally, if I'm making this into 0, see the tax is 0. Summary total is same as our net total. Okay, so now our calculation also good. So the next thing is we can include the delete function. Already we have included the button. So here also we can bind on event. I'm just including one click event. Delete product. And parameter we can pass the index. So next in our HTML side, I'm adding this function number. Okay. So in this remove time, we can ask the confirmation. Do you want remove? If it is accepted, we can remove the specific row. Already we have one getter function, INV products. Okay. So the same only we have binded it also, HTML side also. Here we need to remove the particular form array. So based on the index only, that's it. Okay. Once we removed, make sure we need to do the calculation again. So I'm just recalling this summary calculation. That's it. Okay, we have two products. So now if I'm removing the first one, it's asking this pop-up. Okay, there is a spelling mistake, we can correct. Now if I'm clicking this OK, see the product got removed. Also the recalculation is happened. Okay, so next we can include one validation. So now if I'm trying to add one new product, I am able to add. Okay, since I am not to choose any of the customer, I can do this. So I'm including one condition. If I need to add a product, make sure I have to select one customer. Okay, so let me do that now. Okay, add new products in this area. Okay, so in this function, I'm just getting the customer value. Okay, the customer ID that we can get it from the form. Customer ID. Okay, once I'm having this customer ID, I'm just checking if it is not equal to null and not equal to empty. So then only I am adding this product. And in this else scenario, I have to provide the messages. Okay. So normally we can use the JavaScript alert. If you feel you want to make our application in a traditional manner, we have a different options for showing the notification. I am recommending to use the toaster. Okay. So let me install the toaster here. So whenever we are installing any new packages, make sure we need to stop our application. Okay. We can get the command from here, ngx-toaster. This is the command. Okay, the installation gets completed and we can see the documentation. Okay, and in this style side, in our angular.json, we need to include this one, this style. So already we have this two items. Then I'm including this toaster CSS also. Okay, and the next thing is we need to include this model. Okay, it's for the model based template. Since we are in this standalone, we have to include this provider. That's it. Okay, so let me include them. So in this app config side, provide a toaster. Okay, if it is not coming, then we have to include it manually. Provide toaster. So here we can include one default function. Close button true. Okay. So anyway, I have done the separate video for this toaster. Okay, for if you want to know all the properties. So for our example, this basic configuration is more than enough. Okay. I'm just running this application. Also in our component side, I'm injecting our toaster service. Toaster service. So here we can provide this. We can give warning. This is actually title. Okay. So let me try now. So if I'm clicking this button, I am getting this alert. Maybe once I choose to the customer, so now there is no issue. Okay. And similarly, it is allowing to create the multiple rows. Okay. So the basic validations we have done. The next thing is we can work for the save functionality. Okay. For the save functionality, first thing is we need an API. Already we have an endpoint. Let me verify. Yes, we have this endpoint. Okay. So I'm creating one new function from our service side. So my first function is create invoice. Okay. And it is having one parameter invoice object. Okay. And here it's actually post method. We have to provide our API endpoint and then this data. So the same way we can create two more functions in which all are needed. Update invoice, again this is same, but the method type is put method. Okay. So in this scenario we have to pass the key value. So here our key value is ID. ID is nothing but our invoice number. Okay. And then get all invoice. Okay. This is actually one of the get method. And here these parameters are not needed. Okay. So I'm writing one more get function, get invoice. Remove invoice. This is the final function and type is delete and there is no return type. Okay. And here also need to pass the key value. Invoice number is the parameter. Okay. So the functions are done. So next in our component side, I just initiated one function, save invoice. Okay, this is the function. So the first thing is I'm checking valid. If it is valid only, we are proceeding further. Okay, and then declaring one object. Okay, add a missing property. So actually here we need to set the values. Okay, So the values actually we can get it from our invoice form. Assign the properties from day one. Okay. Invoice number we can keep it as 0. That is fine. And then customer ID. String. Okay. And the next one is customer name. And then address. Then this invoice date. Converting this into date. Okay. And then tax code. We have a field. And this tax type, already I have declared one variable, customer tax type. And this total, get it from the form. The same way for this tax. And then this net total. Okay. So the data type is number. Okay. So now we are good to go. And finally, these products. And for these products, I can get it from this form. But since we have some disabled field, I can use this get raw value. Invoice products. Okay. Now we have our object. Once we have this object, we can call our services. Okay, create invoice. And I'm just passing this object. Okay, I just provided the name as invoice. Okay. So once it is created, the negative scenario I am not handled since it is a steady API. If it is a real-time API, we will get one response. So based on the response, we can decide whether it is pass or fail. In our example, I am just considering until we not get any error, it is a success scenario. Okay. So once it is succeeded, we can redirect into our listing. I think we have one function back to list. The same function we can call. At the same time, I want to show one alert message. Okay. So now we are good to go. So let me try then. So currently, if you check this API, I mean this JSON data, for the invoice, we have one empty array. Okay. So now I am just creating one new entry. I selected one customer and adding two products. Okay. I can choose the different products. Okay. So once I click save, see it is redirected into our listing page, and also we got a message created successfully. So now if I'm checked here, we have an entry. ID created as 1, and customer ID, customer name, and we have this product information also. Okay. So the next thing is, since we have this data invoice information, the same data we can load in our invoice listing screen. I'm go back to our new component listing, and here also we can implement to hook. and destroy. I implemented both hooks. Okay, remove the default error message and having one constructor and injecting our services. Our service is invoice services. Okay, and creating one new function, load all invoices, and declaring one variable, invoice list, and the data type is invoice array. Okay, and default value I just provided empty, and declaring one more variable, subscription, it's subscription. Okay, so here we can call our API, get all invoices. I'm just subscribed to this one. So once I got the value, we can assign into our invoice list. Okay, I just formatted, and then we can include this into and then we can do the unsubscription in this on destroy section, on destroy hook. Next I am declaring one more variable, that's for defining the column what we are going to display in our listing screen, and data type is string array, and we can provide the default value. So the first thing is we are going to display this invoice number, so I just provided ID, and the name, this is for the customer name, and address, this is for the customer delivery address, and then net total payable. Okay, and finally we can have the action, just it is for including the add delete. Maybe if we defaultly we can include add and delete. So in this real-time scenario we may have a different options in this action side. Okay, I just formatted, and in this listing screen we are going to use the material UI component. So I'm just importing the required models. So defaultly I will include the mat card. So then including this mat card model, and then mat table model, and this pagination and sorting is needed. So mat paginator model, next in this grid we will use the buttons, so mat button model. Okay, I think this is enough. If required then we can include little later. And also we cannot directly use this array of data, that actually we need to convert this into mat table data source format. So I'm just declaring one more variable, data source. Okay, and the data type is mat table data source. Once we have this value, basically we will get the value from our services, right? So then we have to call this function here. Okay, so now the value will be available once the page is loaded. So I'm just converting this values into mat table data source format. invoice list. Okay, so we have done from the TS side. Next I'm just moving into our HTML side. Removed the existing content and including this mat card. Then obviously we can include this mat card header and mat card content. Okay, so here we can include one h2 tag and it's saying invoice listing. Okay, so let me format it. Also here we can have one button. Okay, add invoice and including this mat raised button directive. Color I am providing primary. Okay, and binding one event. So in this click event, add a new invoice. I'm just implementing this function here. For handling the redirection, we can use the router. So the URL mapping, we can get it from our route side. Okay. See the design. Okay. Once I click this one, it's redirected. Similarly, back to listing. So here also we can include that custom CSS. Okay, that's actually needed. Maybe we can take this one. And similarly for the button also needed. So if something needed, then we can include later. Now see, it is fine. I believe we can remove this text. So next in this content, we can have our table, material table. We can see one of the example. Okay, maybe we can take this one for the just reference. Okay, I'm just copying the same code and then we can alter accordingly. Okay. So here the first thing is data source. Anyway, from our side also we just declared this one, data source. Okay, and then display columns. So here it is used as the displayed column. So we can change in our TS side. Okay. Next in this column definition side, we can include our properties one by one. So we just provided like this ID, name, address, and net total action. So the first one is ID. Okay. And the header text we can give us invoice number. Okay. And the binding value is, I believe it's ID. Anyway, let me confirm. Yeah, it's ID only. And the next one is name. In our display name is customer name. And in our database side, it is the customer name. Okay. And then address. The display text we can say this is delivery address. Okay. In database, it's delivery address. and the final one is not a final one. In between we have this net total. And this value is net total. Okay. We need another one column that is for action. So here we can include our, and here also it's action. Okay. And in this area we can include our action buttons for delete and edit. Now we can see this output. Okay. We have a single record and we are able to see this single row. I'm including two buttons. Okay. So the first one is for edit. We can use this matte raised button directive and the color primary. Okay. And including one on click event. Edit invoice. Here we can pass this ID as parameter. I'm just defining this function. Okay. So next in our HTML side, we can create one more button. And I'm just providing the name is delete instead of the edit. And in this function also we can use this remove invoice. Okay. And this color we can give accent. See the response now. Okay, it looks good. So additionally, if required, we can include the pagination and the shorting. So that maybe I will include in the end of the video. Okay. So before that, we can focus on this edit function. So we just return one function, right? In this edit function, we are just doing one navigation only. Okay. And other logics we can handle it from our create component. Invoice/edit. So better we can get it from our routing side itself. Okay. This is actually URL and just passing this parameter invoice number. So now if I'm clicking this edit button, see it is redirected. And in this edit and create, both the time we are using the same component. Okay, that's what we are seeing this blank text. Actually for in this edit scenario, based on the individual invoice number, we have to populate the existing record. Okay. So let me handle in our create component. So here I am just declaring two more fields. So the first one is edit. The default value is false. And another variable is key value. So the default value I just provided empty. Okay. Next in our ngx-toaster, I'm just assigning value in this key value. Okay. The value actually we can get it from our route. So for getting value from the current route, we can use the activated route option. Okay. Activated route. So these steps we have followed in my previous videos also, and the name we can get it from this, it's invoice number. The string. And in this next line, I'm just checking if it is not equal to null, then obviously it's edit scenario. Okay, so in this time I'm setting this is edit is true. That is my first change. And then title is edit invoice. Okay, and then we have to populate the existing info. So I'm writing one more new function. Okay, so this is the function. So the same function we can call it here. Here the invoice number is nothing but our key value. So here we can call our services, and our function name is get invoice. Here we need to pass this invoice number. Okay, I'm just subscribing this one, and I'm declaring one object. So whatever value is coming, I'm just assigning here. Okay, and checking if it is not equal to null, we can assign the values into our reactive forms. It's kind of a object. Add all the missing fields. So default value is set, but we have to provide the actual value. ID. Just converting this into string. Okay. And then invoice date. If it is null, then we can provide this default value. Okay. I mean the today's value. If it is have a value, then we can maintain this format. And then customer ID. It's a direct binding. Similarly for the customer name, again this one will say kind of direct update. Then tax code, delivery address, and finally, okay, it's all done. See the response. So the basic details are binded, like in this header, invoice number is binded, and the tax customer information are binded. So in this product section, the values are not binded. So the reason is, since we are using this form array, okay, so based on the data, we have to generate the form groups dynamically. So that thing is not yet done. So that's why the values are not binded. So let me show you how to do that. From this function itself, I'm going to declare one more variable. Okay. I just declared one variable here, and before setting this value I am generating one for loop. So in this loop itself I am calling this add new product function. So let me format this one. See, we are getting this alert message continuously. So the reason is, if you checked in this function, we have included the validation. Customer ID is empty, but don't create any new record. So in this scenario, if we are able to see this value, it's there. But if you technically verified, we are creating this new rows. After that only we are assigning those values. Okay. So in this situation, what we can do, this validation only applicable if it is not a edit scenario. In this edit scenario, we can allow. Maybe this line we can directly include. Okay. So now the values are binded, right? And the next thing is this calculation. For this calculation purpose, once we binded all those values, we can call this summary calculation. Okay. Now it is completely set. Maybe if I'm creating one more new record, it's for Kishore Kumar 200 1100, and in this tags I am providing exclusive. I can include one more product. See, this tax is 86. So now if I'm saved this one, it's created one more new record, right? At the same time I'm trying to edit this one. So if you check to here, this summary total is fine, but this tax and net total, it's having some variation. Okay, the reason is the calculation is not happened properly. So the actual reason is we have setted all those values for this form field, right? So for the calculation purpose, we have this customer tax type. So in this tax type, we have to set this value. Tax type. Similarly in this, okay, so now it is looks good, right? So now the edit time we have just loaded all those values. So this one also. Next we have to work for the save functionality. Anyway, we have done the changes for create. Next I am going to apply some more changes for the edit scenario. So before calling our API, I'm just checking this edit. And in this else scenario, we can use for this create. And in this edit time, instead of the create invoice, we can call this update invoice, and other things are fine. And this text also is changed. Okay. One small change. So in this create time, we just provided the ID value as 0. Now we have to provide the actual value. Okay. Here we need to provide our key value only. So So let me try now. I'm just changing this count into 10. That is the only change I have done now. See, it's saying updated successfully. We can verify. Maybe if I'm including one more product, keeping loss. Okay. And in this quantity also we can change it to 3. And in this price I just adjusted into. So now if I'm saved, updated successfully. Otherwise we are good. In this net total we can see more digits, right? For managing this one we can just use the pipes, that's it. Okay, so here we are getting this error. The reason is if you are using these common items, make sure we need to import this common model. Okay, now it looks good. Maybe if I'm removing one of the product also, it will work. So now we successfully completed this create invoice and update invoice, and also we just loaded our listing, and the final function is delete. Okay, so it's not going to take much time. So in this invoice screen already I have written the function. Here we can include one confirmation box. It's a normal JavaScript confirmation box only. Once it is confirmed, we can call our services. We have a function remove invoice and passing this parameter. Okay, considering this is the success scenario and providing this alert message. Okay, for the alert message purpose I need to import this toaster first. Okay, and finally load all invoice function. I'm just creating one more new invoice, right? Once I click do you want delete this invoice, once I click to OK, the record got removed. Now you can see this invoice number 1 and 3. So finally we have done the complete redaction using this invoice application. So technically we have covered this reactive forms form array concept. Still, if you have any doubts or clarification, please put in the comment box, and also please don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you. Thanks for watching.